Going to talk today is locking with the files. Okay, so where this is going to help you, right? Let's understand this. Say you will be working with a system where multiprocessing. I mean, in a multiprocessing environment, what will be happening is like the same file will be getting access from the multiple places, or basically from the multiple processes. So in that time, how you are going to take care of your file, or how you're going to basically taking a lock and unlocking it. That is what we are going to take a look into today class. Okay, so so let me just go through the very simple program. So we have a header file, something called file control.h. Okay, so this header file is important. I will tell you that where all this file will be basically coming into picture. So this is basically systypes.h is again for the system calls related things, and sys file again, this is for the basically helping when you are going and working with the files. So very simple program. What we are going to do here is we have a file, basically file 1. We are just thinking that this file is existing inside your system, so we are opening this file. So main thing is like any process, right? You cannot block at the open call. So when you go and take a look at the file operations corresponding to the drivers, you can see that open will be basically available for each and every one. Okay, so multiple processes can open the same file. Now the next line, let me display the line numbers. So the line number 10 is basically flock. So flock is a system call. What we are going to do, it is taking two arguments. We'll go through these arguments. So the first is file descriptor. The file descriptor is nothing but the open file descriptor, right? So it is expecting that uh, a valid file descriptor, basically, which is getting from the file by open call. And then the next argument is log underscore sh. So there are basically multiple arguments. So log underscore sh is log. Just a minute. Call. Sorry. So so this flock, basically the second argument is here we have used is log underscore sh. So log underscore sh is nothing but It's a kind of a shared lock, right? So when you're going to provide this sh as an option, so basically you are going to say that this is going to get access by multiple processes, more than one process. Okay, so more than one process can hold a shared lock for a given file at a time. Okay, we are going to take a look at the other lock also. So basically here, this means this file one will be accessible by multiple process, or by more than one, I mean more than one process at same time. Now once you, so this f lock, what it does is basically this is going to, so when it will be successful it is going to return 0, and when there will be failure it is going to return -1. Okay, so you can capture the failure code using this p error. So once you run this program, what will be happening is like, once it will successful, it will give you a, I mean 0, which is basically the return code of your deploy. Now how you have to run this program, let me just tell you, because this, the whatever the program we are going to talk about today session is, we are going to open multiple terminals, and we are going to create multiple processes and see that how it goes. Okay, so let me just open another terminal. Okay, this is cd. I need to come this place. Now let's run this, compile this. Oh, okay, so f-lock1 you do, and let's another f-lock1. Okay, so let's run this first. Any reason you people can tell me that why it is failing? Result of locking is -1.
Okay. Can you show the code?
Okay,
Maybe the file one is not existing.
yes.
Yes, so here open flag.
So let's see that whether the file exists or not. Ls file one doesn't exist, right? So let me just create a file. So now you can see that file one is here. Okay. So now let's run this. Let me just run this. Result of blocking is 0, and you can see that the other terminal also we are able to run, because the type is log underscore sh we have used. Okay, there was a gate guide, that is why it was waiting here. Now if your fd will be success, basically if file exists, then it will go and I mean basically multiple more than one process can go and access this. Now we're going to talk about the other one, log underscore ex. Okay, so there is something called log underscore ex. So log underscore ex, what it does basically, it, so basically here you are going to say that it is an exclusive. Okay, so exclusive means only one process may hold an exclusive lock for a given file. That means you are going to protect this file to get access from the other process. Okay. Now This means if I'm going to run this, I mean, if any process is going to access this file, then what will happen? Let's see that. Okay. So once this will be again success, it is going to return 0. If it will be failure, it is going to return -1. So now let me just gcc -o flog2. So let's run this flog2, and here I'm also going to flog2. Okay. So result of blocking. See, this guy has been blocked. Okay. So this is basically blocked. The moment, so two things we need to understand. The left hand terminal is basically we run this, so it has put a lock, and this lock will be remain there unless you are going to unlock it, or unless you are going to close that file, or unless you are going to terminate the program. Okay, so we have three options. I mean, the third option we are going with. Let's say that we have terminated. Now see, this guy has got the lock. Now it will come out. So this kind of a blocking call. So when you lock will not be available, the process will be blocked forever. And once lock will be available, this will be waked up and it will go through. Okay. Now, so this is your lock underscore ex. Now, lock. So two things here we have used. Okay. So this is the third one where we have used, where we are ORing with lock underscore nb. So lock underscore nb is the uh, another flag basically, and this is what is going to say that so basically to make non-blocking request. So this is for the non-blocking request. Okay, so if you are going to say that it is going to say that it is basically when you want that if lock is not available, then don't block it basically. So let's see that if I'm going to run this, what is going to happen. Log 3, sorry, 3 dot f log 3. Now I'm going to run this f log 3. See, this has returned -1, right? Why it has returned -1? File is existing, but we have used flag called lock underscore nb. So nb stands for non-blocking. So when you have a flag with non-blocking flag is there, so basically it will not be waiting. It will be just coming out when a file is locked by some other process. So that is why it came out. Now, even if I'm going to do this, say now it's got locked. Now if I'm going to do like this, I'm going to do like this. So this is basically the third option which we have. Okay, now let's go. So we have seen this log 3. Now let me go with the log. There is another one, something called. So what we have seen there was, if you just go and take a look, f lock. Okay, so just go to the man page. You can have all the details of f lock. Okay, so sys/file.h is the header file, and this is the prototype. Like it takes two arguments. One is the file descriptor. The second one was the operation which we are talking about. Lock sh, lock ex, lock underscore un. Okay. So lock underscore un is remove an existing lock held by this process. So you can use this lock underscore nb is there or not. Uh, I think okay. Lock underscore nb is not mentioned, but you can use that lock underscore nb also. Okay. Now, so we're going to say lock one. So lock if is another system call which is basically given for so given for file lock. Okay. Now lock if what this function does, right? So lock if function basically lock the section of a file. I am saying the section of a file. If you take a look at the argument to the lock if, we have three arguments here, right? So the last argument is the size. That is why I'm saying that is the section of the file. So call to lock from other process is going which attempts to lock the lock files. So this section basically you are going to say that what is the size from the current offsets. If I'm saying that 6, basically it is going to log the 6 bytes from the current offset. So when you open a file, your current offset will be pointing to which location? When you open a file, your current location
Beginning.
beginning, correct. So it's from the beginning it is going to 6 bytes. Now if it will be success, it is going to return 0. If it will be failure, it is going to return an error. Okay. So fd is the first argument. Fd here is open file descriptor which we are receiving uh, from a file. Now I will advise that you when you are writing a system programming or doing a system programming things, you should use this error code. Okay. So you should be checking all the things that whether you have returned a success file descriptor or not, or whether you have returned any error code. Okay. So you need to validate all the things. Now this if you take the second one, basically f underscore lock. So f underscore lock is nothing but it is kind of a exclusive lock. So lock section for exclusive. So this is going to so we have multiple basically variant here. So somewhere you can see f underscore u lock, basically that is for the lock section. And there I mean we are going to take a look f underscore t log, which is basically going to test and log a section for exclusive section. So let's talk about this f underscore log, what it does basically. When I'm going to run this, okay, log one, log one. Let me run this. It's blocked, right? So it is blocked now. Now it will be blocked until this will release the lock, or this will close the file descriptor, or this will terminate. The moment it terminates, this guy is getting locked and then it will proceed further. Okay.
Okay, if this the screen where we have result of locking, if it
Mhm.
is trying to access more than means extra means ahead of 6 bytes, then it would have not locked.
Yes, good question. Okay. So what you have to do in that case, right? When you have opened a file, right? So you have to move your file pointer. Okay. So I have logged how many bytes? 6 bytes we have logged, right? Let me open this program. Okay. So we have logged how many bytes? 6 bytes, right? From the current offset will be pointing at the zeroth location, which is nothing but the first starting byte, and till 6 byte we have locked. Now, if you're going to move your file pointer up to 6 bytes, say 7th, then yes, it will be basically it will be successful. So it will not be a blocking one because you have moved your file pointer up to 6 bytes, or I mean the size of this, and then you are putting a lock there. So it will be a successful. Okay.
So, is there any option to lock from 100 byte to 200 bytes like that?
Yes, yes, definitely. The LSIC option, right? We have last class we have talked about, right? That. So you move your
Yes.
file pointer with the LSIC, and then wherever you
Oh,
want to put it, and then from that position you can basically put a lock.
oh, okay, okay. We cannot mention it here in this lock underscore res equal to lock something in this line.
No, here what you have to do is you have to put a LSIC. Okay.
Okay, okay. First we have to move ahead and then lock.
You have to go with the LSIC, whatever the option is there, right? How many offset you want to move, and then you have to go for the lock.
Okay,
So if you're writing a program, right? So this is one program, right? Now this is going to be another program when you're writing. So your second program is going to basically what it is trying to do. It will be, if you're thinking that my first program is has been put a log till 6 bytes. Second program, what you have to do, I mean, you have to write in such a way that you are going to put a log up to 6 bytes or 10 bytes. Then that perfectly that would be fine. Try that out. I will share this program, okay, and that will be basically working. Now, so this is similar to that. Only thing is the T lock is test and lock section for file. Now, what does it mean when I'm going to run this basically? Anybody is working in file system here, this is, I mean, basically when you will be dealing with the file system and all, right, then only you will be or somebody from, I mean, any company who are working into the file system like uh, Veritas or something like that, right? They will be, I mean, you can see, if you can see their code, most of the places they will be playing with this locking and all. I will tell you the real example also where we will be using all this. Okay, so you run this now. Result of locking, because it test and found that the file has been already locked, so it is bailing out. Result of locking is -1.
so when the file gets locked, is there any means any changes happen in the inode where probably like that only, that this file has been locked so other processes don't get access to this
Yes,
file?
yes, yes. When a file is locked, basically the inode, right? So so you can open the file. I'm not saying that your inode won't be locked. Yes, it will be allowed, but the permission with the file, if you, I mean, we will talk about when we will be talking about the inode, I will be sharing the details that there will be permission associated with the file. Okay, so the permission is like whether you are going to allow this file to access by the other process. If you are going to say yes, basically we are changing the permission bit there. Okay, that is what we do with the inode structure. So inode structure have all these entries,
Okay,
and we are flipping that.
okay, got it. Thanks.
Now let me go through the prog 3. So prog 3, here is another one. We have used this f underscore unlock. So what we are doing here is we are locking a file, then we are unlocking it, and then we are coming out. So if I'm going to run this, this is the third option we have, proc 3. Now proc 3. Let's see here. Proc 3. Locked. It's blocking. What will happen? There is unlock. So this guy will go and if I will just hit enter key gate char, after gate char there is unlock call. So this will basically unlock, and the moment it will unlock, this guy will get the lock. Result of unlocking is 0. Successfully unlocked it. This guy has got a lock. So this guy will come over. Now result of unlocking is locked.
So Abhay, is there some information about the file means where means the time this program is running, we can go and see what are the means locking information on that file? Is there something we can see?
File description you can see, but only thing is you have to basically dump the inode. Then only you can see that. So if I will just run this, and if I go here, say you go to the proc, right? Basically, proc. That, 6462. So lock is 1. Okay. Let me just go and put it here. Go and see.
Okay.
Lock has gone, right? You can see
Yeah.
here. So only, I mean, few, basically not many things would be there. This lock at least you can.
So at least means it is showing that.
Yes. Now let's go to. Basically, I have to wind it up. I mean, somebody has called me, so I'm going to receive something. I'm one. He will be here, right? So I may have to come down. So I'm just notifying you people. This time is a horrible one for me. Okay. So let's go to the. So proc 3. So this is another flag basically, right? So let me just quickly go to the man page of this man to. So we have seen this f lock unlock and f underscore t lock. I think there is f underscore t test or test something here. Let me go to the man page of this. Okay, man to lock it. No, not there. Yes. So log if you see here the description is f log. These are the operations basically. I will request that go through the manuals of this. These are the POSIX related stuff. F log, T log, U log, F underscore test. This is basically going to test the log. You are not going to grab the log. Basically, you are going to validate whether if there any log is applied to this file. If no lock, basically return 0 if the specified section is unlocked, or if there is a lock, it is going to return -1. So that is how you are going to basically validate that. Basically, if you want that test it, lock it, then you can go with that. Lock. On success, it returns 0. These are the errors code basically. EXS, bad file descriptor, deadlock, invalid, no lock, right? So this basically, if you use this P error, I mean, if there will be any problem, it will be returning a valid error code. Okay. Now let me go through doc. So what we're going to do here is, in this program, say we have a buffer of 10 bytes, and then we are going to read 6 bytes, and then we are putting a lock and then unlocking it. Okay. So when you are reading 6 byte, what will happen? Where will be your file pointer?
Seventh one.
Sorry.
Seventh one.
Right. So it will basically, yes. So either you can basically do a lseek, or you can, if you are using read option, automatically your file pointer will be keep on moving till how many bytes you are reading or writing. So if let's GCC, let me check the test1 content. Test1, no, what is the file name? File. V file1. So cat file1. Yeah. Now let's run this. GCC -4.41. Yes. Now file1. Okay. Let's run this. So I'm going to run this. It has been locked. Now I'm going to say run this lock 42. It has not been locked. Why? Who is going to answer this?
Because the
it's
file
waiting,
has, yeah, go ahead.
it's waiting to get unlocked.
Yes. So what is it?
Can you show the code?
Yes. So here means what happened, what my intention was to show here is, say you are locking here, right, 6 bytes. Locking here 6 bytes. Now, the moment you lock here 6 bytes, what will happen? Say file 1 is there. file 1 is there. We have seen file 1 is there. Now, looks like proc 41. Now, again I will run this proc 41. So, now let's go to the program. So, you are logging from which place?
Means 7th to
7 to 7 plus 6, right?
yeah.
So you're locking from this. Basically your file pointer is pointing to this place.
Yes.
Now, if you go and say, let me see any program is there with go2 is what?
So this is trying to lock from the beginning.
Yes. So let me try this. Okay. Now GCC proc 42. Let's run this. And you see this, right? The same file it is accessing, but this guy is accessing from 0th to 6th, and that guy has moved his file pointer to 7th, and from 7th he is holding a lock plus 6, right?
Yes.
So you can see that lock is basically this guy has successfully grabbed a lock, right? So this is how, at least Nitin, I think this is the answer for your question you asked. Either you can go with the LSIG or you can go with the read.
Have a doubt over here.
Yes.
The second program is locking from file descriptor, like the file pointer from 0 to the complete file, right? It's starting from file descriptor 0, and when it is accessing, when it reads beyond 6, what happens to it? Will it still be valid?
Your voice is breaking. I heard only a little bit. So
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it audible?
yes, now it is okay.
Hello? Okay. Yeah, my question was your first program is locking from the 6th byte until the last. Your second program is locking from 0th byte. That's the byte descriptor is pointing to 0th or first character. So
Right.
when the second
Again gone. No.
You can open the programs and we'll see what he is asking.
No, his voice is not audible. That is the question. Like,
Yeah, means we'll just
okay, maybe some problem with my mic.
again gone.
Okay. So yeah, I was asking that in the second file descriptor, you're opening it from 0th byte, and in the first one anyway you're locking it from the 6th byte. So if
Yes.
the first program has to read, and if it reaches 6 and beyond, will it be able to proceed further, because the first file, the first lock is been locked after 6 byte.
Oh, that's okay. So okay. So this program, the left hand side, okay, basically the proc 41, right? Proc 41 has been put a lock from 7th onwards, right?
yes.
And this program, so his question is, if I understood his question, what he was talking about, if this program is going beyond 6 byte, then what will happen, right? That is the question, or what?
Yes, yes, I think that is the question.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So basically, now you have to take a call right here. You are going to put a lock from 7th here. So if you are going to say, you have to specify an argument here, right? What basically how many bytes you are going to lock.
Yeah.
So if your option is like from 0th to 7th, say, or basically you are overlapping, right? When you are overlapping, then this call will not be successful. So this call will return a -1, because it will come to know that okay, few of the bytes has been already locked, and it will not allow you to get through. by that question?
Yeah. So if there is no overlapping, right?
Then successfully you will be able to.
No. If
Ah.
there is no, the log is successful,
Mhm.
and after log it is reading, right?
The
So
log, yes.
it cannot read beyond that. Means whatever means so the first program it is logging from 7th, right? So the second program it cannot go beyond 7. It cannot read, right? Until it is
Yes, correct.
the first one is releasing the,
Until it is locked.
yeah. So that was his question.
Okay. So let's see another one. Basically, I wanted to show something. Okay, log file. Okay, so this is one. So there is something called okay, I will talk about this. So there is a flock structure. Okay, so this flock has few things. Okay, so flock there is a type. So this flock structure has few members. Let's talk about. So this lock, basically this is helpful when you are going to put a lock with a file. So so let's see that what kind of members is available with this flock structure. So the first one is L underscore type. So L underscore type basically have this kind of variance. So you can here basically you are going to say that I am going to put a log with the write or read. Right? There you were, I mean, what was happening is like there we were putting a log to the full file, right? Now here f underscore wr log, f underscore rd log, read log, and f underscore unlock. You are going to say that from which position. So this is like okay, seek set, seek current, or seek int. Basically you are basically moving your file pointer from which what is the position from where you are going to put a lock, and this is the start, right? When you use this lseek, so you need an offset also. Length, basically how many bytes you are, we have seen this, how many bytes you are going to, if you are going to put a 0, that means it is from the 0 to the end of file. And there is the fifth member is something called L underscore PID. So basically this is the current PID, okay, for the process. So when you are going to use this flock, what you have to do is basically you have to populate this structure with all these details. So here we are populating that what we, I mean, we have initialized this structure that when we are defining this variable, at the same time we have initialized this structure. So we are interested into WR lock 6 set, from which position, 0 position, length is 0, and PID we are going to get it from the in the next line. So FL dot L underscore PID is, we're getting the PID is a call, this will be basically giving the PID. And then type, if you see here, what it is doing is log open log file with the permission read and write.
So
Now, yes.
why do you need PID? Because PID anywhere and whatever program is running, it's means wherever this call is going, they can get which PID called, right? So why do you need PID? Means process ID, this process ID only, right?
This process ID, current PID.
Yes. So why do we need this? Because means what I understand that when you
No,
are
okay. So let's see that. Okay, PID. How do we? I mean, current. There is a current pointer by which you can get it PID. But let's say that your program basically executed, something happened, right? Say something happened. There is a crash happened with some file system, right? So you have a dump of all this. Okay, you have a, you can dump this flock structure, and you can see that what was the basically the process ID.
okay.
So basically, this is kind of a facility they have provided. You can use this. I mean, see, if you don't want to use it, you can go with the previous approach. Not a big deal.
Mm.
So there are many ways. That is what I'm talking about. There are many ways to log unlock a file.
Mm.
Now, log file. You are trying to open a file. Then again you are waiting here, and then this guy is here. You see that earlier we have seen this flog lock f, right? So multiple places nowadays people are using this file control, right? fcntl.
Mm.
So fcntl is basically taking three arguments: the open file descriptor, and this is uh, set log, right? Okay. And the third one is the structure of a, which we have populated here, okay? A flock structure. So once you pass this, is going to log your file with the details which you have provided inside this structure. Okay, and then basically we are coming here and we are saying the close file. Here we are not. So this, when the moment you close the file descriptor, automatically your unlock will be done. Okay. Now if you run this, log one. Who is it? So log one, and let me get log one. Concern is trying to get a lock, got lock. This guy will be still waiting. Okay. So whoever has come first, that guy has got the lock. Now if I will press enter, it will release the lock. If I will do like this, it will keep on blocking. So this guy will got the lock. Trying to get the lock, press return to release the lock. So this is like uh, FCNTL call. Okay. So FCNTL is like, now if you go to the main page of FCNTL. So FCNTL has been basically the file, header file is FCNTL. The name of the call is FCNTL. So let's take a look at the, it has many things basically. This is most popular call nowadays. You can see here and there. So the structure mainly I was trying to show you. So this F lock, right? See the type of lock, then whence, start, length, PID. Okay. Now set lock, set LKW, get lock are used to acquire, release, and test for the existence of record lock. So set lock, set L, get lock is again if you are going to basically see that whether the lock is available or not. So this is a blocking how you are going to use. Again, that is a based on your requirement. So set LKW basically to obtain a lock. If the lock is not obtained, it will be blocked. Set LK, set L, set F underscore set LK is, I think it will not be waiting. W is for waiting. This guy will see if lock is there, it will go ahead. If lock will not there, it will come out. It will not be a blocking call. Okay. Get lock is again, I'm getting a call. Just a minute. Okay. So this is basically what happens with your, so this is, many details are there, you can just take a look. Set lk, see, acquire a lock, set lkw is, I think it will be waiting, yes, then wait for the lock to be released. Get lock is on input to this call. Lock describes a lock we would like to place on the file. If the lock could be placed, doesn't actually place it but returns F1 lock. Okay, now let me just so this is what we are going to do here is like this F lock. Now you see that we are putting a lock, file lock, and then we are running a for loop, infinite for loop. So what it is going to do is, this is not going to release the lock until you close the file descriptor, or unless your program come out. Then I'm going to run this.
Abhay,
Yes,
why are we using that PID over there? What was the use of that PID?
PID is basically, it will be helping you to the current process entry it needs. So what will be happening is like, it will be looking for which process I have to put a log. Okay, so when you are providing an option as a flock structure, right, to this FCNTL, it will go and look whether your process is existing there or not. So your file will be open for multiple processes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is like yes, so it will, what it does is basically it goes and take a look that, okay, this is the PID, and it basically look at the PID, and then it places a lock.
No, but if you see in your program, we are not using that PID, right? How will that get to know that we are using this PID? Or
You're passing as an argument there, right? Yeah. See, if you see this FCNTL call, right? This is FL structure, right? So FCNTL, see, this is, you try that out. I have tried many times. What happens is like, this is if you are going to provide a wrong PID, or if you are going to provide a 0, say you change the PID. Okay, what do you do here, right? You get a PPID. Okay, PPID is also, you get a parent PID, right? And then you try, and then you run this program and see what happens. It is not going to log this. Basically, the FCNTL will not be successful if it is going to be a wrong PID, or if so. Many times what happens, right? Your process, so if you take a look at the process termination state, right? Your process basically when it terminates, right? So the PID stuffs will be getting deleted. It's basically, I feel that it doesn't require, right? Only useful is for the debugging purpose. I feel. Otherwise, you can go with the previous approach.
okay.
So this is another way to lock a file.
This FCNTL is blocking or unblocking, or what it is?
It based on the kind of arguments which you are passing, the second argument, right? The second argument, if you are passing as a LKW, right? That is, W stands for wait. So it will be blocking one.
Okay.
If you are passing as a without W, it will be a non-blocking. Basically, if lock is available, it will go ahead. If lock will not be available, it will bail out.
Okay. And it does it depend on a read and write? Like if a file has been opened for a read, like I want multiple files to be open in a read and only one file descriptor. I mean, I want to lock only the write file descriptor.
Yes. You are talking about this. This is the type, right? The type also matters here, right? That is what the main purpose is. If you see, the first is the type here, okay? So you are going to put a log to what type? Going to put a log to read log type, or you are going to put a log to WR.
Okay.
So,
So
so
if I put a lock to a write, and if I open that file in many other terminals for read, it will allow, right?
yes. So here the main important piece is this one. So suppose this is a write log, right? This is a write log, correct?
Hmm.
Now this write log, we have opened a file into read
Right.
write. That means this file is uh, basically you are going to put a lock with the write. Okay, read will be successful.
Oh, okay.
So this is one advantage, at least you can put a log to the read, right? But the earlier one, when you, I mean, we have seen, right, there was not such kind of things.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to, so GCC platform for single okay. Getter file is missing. Let's ignore for that time. So single no. This was an infinite loop. Now we see this, right? Another copy is running. Okay. So the moment it will come, another copy will run. We terminate this by Control C. So basically, here single copy PID is a file. Basically, if even if it is existing or not, is if it exists is fine. Otherwise, it is going and creating a file. PID, single copy.pid. Now, what we are doing is we are putting a lock exclusive lock underscore np is what non-blocking, and then we are running this. So this is basically going to run for your, or if you are just saying here, just comment this out and put a try this out. So this is basically it will not allow you to lock from other place. Now another one which I wanted to show was lock icon. This we have seen, this was there. So this is so what you can do is we have talked about flock, lockf, and fcntl. Okay. Now let's go and talk about few more things. So, okay, let me not open a program because I have another 10 minutes to wind it up. So let me talk about what is the purpose of IMAP. Let's talk
Abhay,
about first. Yes,
I have two questions.
yes, Madhusudan.
First is we have logs in threading as well, and these logs and this log are these logs similar to those atomic logs? And second, if yes, then if a file is locked by a thread, then how it can be unlocked by any other thread of the same process?
Okay, I will put another question to you. Okay, so thread is what? What is the difference between thread and process? Do you think that a thread can share the file descriptor? I mean, the file descriptor can be shared among multiple threads?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because it is so it's not a process basically, right? So thread
Yes.
has only basically the stack segment is it has its own stack segment. Apart
Yes.
from that, it's here from the process.
Yeah.
So now the question is like if you are running a multiple thread,
Yeah.
how you are going to put a lock, right?
Yes.
So this is from the system perspective. I'm not saying that this is from the thread. Thread also you can do that, but what will happen is like again, so there comes another locking mechanism, right? Your if you mutex, semaphore
Yes.
will come into the picture, right?
Yeah.
So we will talk about all that things, but this is from the system perspective, not from the application perspective. Okay,
Okay.
you can put a lock this kind of things, but why to waste the system call, right? System call is basically the costlier one, right?
Yeah.
So basically, when you see your thread example and all, right, people very rarely people would be using this call. Just a minute. Hello. Just okay. 5 minutes. I will come down. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay, Abhay, are you committing this one to any GitHub or anything? Where can we get these programs?
GitHub,
Anything?
I told him to I basically requested this guy, Landu guy, to create a repository somewhere. They have not provided me the path till now. I will check it. I will check it once. I'm not sure. They told me that they have a shared kind of a location, but they have not
But I
provided
guess
the path.
GitHub will be useful because each time we can commit over there and everyone can access and commit back like any assignments or anything. We can create different branches for each person and work over there.
If all would be okay with the GitHub, then we can go with that. So it depends on you people. Basically, you people will have to take a call. You people will be basically okay. Take all the codes, keep it somewhere. Uh, don't. I mean, depends. Okay, so if okay with the GitHub, I will go ahead and create a GitHub account.
Okay, since we are working on Linux, Git would be better, I thought, because each classes you can commit over there and we can pull out a branch and work over there and put it back. So that will be
So let's
good rather than.
decide it, and tell me. I will do. I mean, if
Okay.
all
Okay.
goes
And
according, then fine.
yeah, one more doubt I had here. We have blocking and unblocking calls, right? So
Right.
here, if we are going for an unblocking call, it sees for the process whether it's been locked, and if it's been locked, it'll proceed with other instructions, right? So it will not be blocking over there. It moves forward.
No, blocking will be blocked forever.
No, unblocking. If I'm using an unblocking call, so it
Unblocking
tries.
is like if that file is basically not blocked, the file is blocked and you are ignoring basically with the NP and all, right?
Yeah, correct. So in my example, I have two programs running. Program A has locked the file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and program 2 is trying to access that file through unblocking call.
Mm-hmm.
So when it tries to access it through unblocking call, it will not get the lock because program 1 has been locked.
Right.
So it'll not block forever and proceed with further instructions which are there in that file, right?
Right.
So I think it.
Okay, and in that case, if it moves further in that fetching that instructions, and in some time if process A releases that lock and this gets hold of that lock, so from where does that program proceed, where it was there before, or from the locking position again it starts to execute the instructions?
These are the two different programs, right?
Yes.
So we have a different instruction set for both the programs, right? If you take a look, then not sure if I got your question in the right way, but
No,
the
no. So
instruction.
I think the answer is that when you are not getting locked, right, and it is not blocking, then you'll have to handle the error, right? It will throw the error. So based on the error, it's up to you whether you want to continue or you want to exit the program.
No, he does. He want to basically continue. His question was
Yeah,
that I
so
want to continue.
yeah, so you will have if condition. It means even if it is error, then you are ignoring and continuing. You can do that. But
But the whole purpose will be defeated, right? See, this
yes,
is
yes,
thing
yes,
like if you, I mean, if there is a shared things which is getting access from the multiple place, and if you are ignoring and moving ahead, right, that is basically
yeah,
you're
yeah.
going and
In real scenario, I think if you are not getting locked, so you should exit. If it is not
yes,
blocking, also you should exit. There was-
Okay, so once we don't get a lock over there, we proceed further, and if a lock is released at some particular time also, I'll the process B will not be informed because it's already moved further. Is it?
yes. Then you will not have a control. Yes, correct.
Yeah,
So
you
it,
will have to wait for that in a loop, or means if you want to wait, then you have to wait in a
No,
You
loop.
can
just like
do polling.
no, no. Yeah, just I wanted like a notification. So if I don't get a lock, I'll be moving further. And once that has been locked, I want to process that. So that was my question. Like, is that working in the same way or
no, it's
just?
the straightforward answer would be if you are moving ahead and again opening file without, I mean, you are thinking that you are ignoring lock, then uh,
I
it will
think
be messed
Abhay,
up.
there could be something that means if you are not getting locked, you are proceeding again, but you have you are means you have set some semaphore, right? And if that lock is getting released, then that
No, that
semaphore.
is again the different stuff, right? Nitin, that is a different stuff. We have a signaling mechanism that you can
Yes,
notify.
Hmm.
yeah, by signaling we can do.
Yes.
We can do that.
Okay, so okay, to be precise in this one, we want to wait in a blocking state, or if I'm not using a blocking state, I'll continue further and I'll not get a hold of that when it is unlocked,
Right.
right? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I need to stop it because that guy is waiting down. So sorry.
Okay.
Uh, we will meet tomorrow then.
So tomorrow, Abhay, it will be 9 o'clock morning.
I'm not getting the meeting link. These guys are so same time. Let's go with the same time.
Okay.
I think from the next week we can change. I will basically communicate the timing and all.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry for
Thank you.
that. Bye.
Thank you.